My name is Pastor Ron Rands from Resurrection Life Church. Again, we are glad that you're visiting with us today. And you know what? Our vision, our church, is to grow in God, grow in the church, and grow in the community. And today you're going to hear a fourth message. In fact, we weren't originally going to have another message on prayer, but you know what? The Lord really inspired me to write another message on prayer, and I believe it's the best and save the best for last. So stay tuned. God is really going to touch your heart today.
Prayer is seeking God for who He is, not what you want from Him. I was at a soccer meet this week in the pouring rain, and one of the teachers from Whitehall said, "Hey," he says, "I've been really hearing some good things about the prayer message. Is it on the web or is it on TV?" And he says, "You know what?" I said, "I can't believe." He says, "I've always sought to have, joy, and I never looked for the God of joy. I always sought for rest, and I never sought the God of rest." We're always seeking the hand of God. We're never seeking the face of God. It's wrong. I'm thinking that my kids don't seek for my handout. They seek a relationship with the dad. You should be seeking a relationship with your daddy God. Amen? And not a handout. Prayer is intimacy with God and will reflect your wicked ways and your wrong heart. When you get intimate with God and you realize that He's perfect and you're imperfect, something's going to shake. 3, prayer is a promise of God's purpose and plans to be acted out on earth where it is an automatic in heaven. You're not going to need prayer in heaven. You're going to talk to God face to face. 4, prayer is words spoken and it's not a good lifestyle. Prayer dispels darkness with God's light. Prayer pleases God the Father. Prayer puts in motion what God deposits inwardly. Prayer motto. Last week we talked about it. You first seek God. Then you what? Reflect God. Then you declare God. And then if God so chooses, He will reveal something you've never known or seen about Him before. Number 1 in your study guide, some new stuff. Okay? God's kingdom takes shape through belief and then confession. God's kingdom takes shape. Now, I'm going to just basically make this really two-sided here. On this side, I'm going to talk about belief. Okay? You do not have a perfect belief system. In fact, I will tell you right now that you have a wrong belief system in many ways. And so what you need to do is get the right belief system, then you confess. What's happened is a lot of Christians have tried to confess over here and thinking that they're going to get what God wants when their belief system over here isn't right. That's why you seek God. So you change your belief system. You need to change your ways to His ways, your thoughts to His thoughts. Guarantee you that God has a different thought about your marriage than you do, so you need to get His thoughts about your marriage. I guarantee you that God has a different way about the way you deal with your young person, because He's got a different way about it. You got to get rid of your ways and grab hold of His ways. Then you'll have the right belief system. Then you can confess over here unto salvation. We're going to talk about that just a little bit further in a moment. A, your belief is the station assigned. Write it down, assigned from God. It's the right frequency. Your belief system is the right frequency, which means if you're talking the wrong talk here, it's all static to God. It's all static. You got to have the right belief system to connect with God. You know what? You can go over there and you can have you want to turn into a radio station, you have to turn into the right number to get that station. All right? If you're talking the wrong talk, you're going to be all static to God, which means God says, I can't do anything with that because it's not my word. It's not based on my word. It's not based on my truth. It's not based on my ways. It's not based on my purposes. It's not based on my plans. I can't do it. It's just static. Okay? Which, if it's static, then you can go over there and you can start confessing all you want over here. But if it's just static, you're not going to get God's plan and action in your life. B, confession is the audience you and those around you hears in response to your frequency. Meaning this, get the right belief system over here and confess it unto salvation. The belief system gets you to, I know God's plan. I know His ways. I know His purposes. I know His design for my life. I know it. I know it. I know it. I got the right belief system. And then I confess unto salvation. What does salvation mean? His plan, His purposes, His kingdom power in your life. Why do a lot of Christians not have that? Because they have the wrong, what is this over here on the side? They have the wrong belief system. If you have the wrong belief system, you can confess all you want over here. You're not going to get into salvation. Or God's salvation means His journey of destiny for your life. Salvation is not an event. Salvation is a journey of God's plans, His purposes, and His ways to come fulfilled in your life. What happens is so many Christians are talking like it's some kind of event. Well, I got saved, when I was 8 years old. I got saved when I was 23 years old. No, what happened is you were introduced to a relationship that brought you into a journey with God. Your journey with God is supposed to start right when you get saved, and then all of a sudden it goes right into your heavenly relationship with Him. It's just another step. When you get to heaven, it's just another step off earth. That's what God wanted it to be, not an event. And so what happens is your belief system, all of your life, you should be working. God, I want the right belief system. I want to know the truth. I want to understand your ways and your plans. Enoch walked with 300 years with God. 300 years he walked with God. And then all of a sudden God took me and says, your belief system is just like mine. You might as well come up and have him live with me. I don't know, I've never met anybody like that. In fact, I looked in the mirror and I said, that's not you. But it needs to be. It needs to be. Romans chapter 10, verse 8. But what does it say? The word is near you. It is in your mouth and it's in your heart. That is the word of faith we are proclaiming. That if you confess with your mouth Jesus Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified. It is with your mouth that you confess and are saved. Meaning that you go over here, you believe in your heart, you get the right belief system over here, and then salvation or the right journey comes to pass. You start believing the right things over your marriage, what God says over your marriage, and then you're going to get the right journey in your marriage that God has. You go over here and you don't believe the right things that God has, you don't speak the right things over here, you're not going to get the right things that God has for your journey. You can beg, squall, bawl all you want. You need to get your right belief system. God's ways are different. You can go over here and get God's way. You know what? A lot of times if your kid goes over there and you tell your kid, look, I don't want you, you're not going to get your candy bar when you go through the aisle. Ooh, they start bawling and squalling. That is manipulation. You think that you won't give your kid a candy bar because they're bawling and squalling? Why would God? God goes over there, get the right belief system, confess his belief system, and watch your journey take shape in God. Mark chapter 11, verse 22. Have faith in God, Jesus answered. I tell you the truth. If anyone says to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes what he says will happen, it shall be done for him. He has the right, say it with me, got the right belief system. No wonder then mountains start moving in that man's path because he's got the right belief system. So all of a sudden he says, journey, mountains are starting to move. But if he doesn't have the right belief system, he's not going to see those mountains removed. All right, number 2, study guide. God spoke the word, and the world took God's intended shape. God spoke the word, and the world took God's intended shape. All right, really quickly on this. I was sharing with some of my kids this week, talking about some pretty crazy stuff about a pre-Adamic race and all kinds of stuff. And, because what happens, a lot of us Christians just we haven't studied the Bible. And so, therefore, when the world comes over there and they go, well, this, scientists say blah, 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 we don't know what to say. We don't know what to say. Well, you should know what to say. We've got a whole lot more truth and understanding than any of them have. Well, the point I'm trying to share with you, and Mark with this is that in Genesis chapter 1, God created the earth perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, something happened between verse 1 and verse 2 when it says, and all of a sudden the earth was without form and void. Can you imagine all of a sudden God looks at Adam and he creates Adam and goes, you're created. And he's just some blob that has no formation of fingers, no formations of feet. Isn't it interesting? The first thing that a mother and a father will be doing when they see that little baby in the mother's womb, going over there, and that little baby is just weeks or months old. What are the things that they're looking for? Toes. They're counting them. Fingers. They're looking for what? Formation. Are they not? They're looking to see how that child is formed in that mother's womb. Are you telling me that God's any different? That all of a sudden God created the heavens and earth and says, no form. No, there's all kinds of form. It was absolutely perfect. So something happened, and I don't have time to get into that study. If you want to learn about it, come to our membership class. But anyway, the point of it is something that happened at that moment. And all of a sudden, God, he barad it. In fact, if you look, I'm going to get to these 2 Hebrew words in just a minute. He barad. In the beginning, he barad it, which means he created the earth from nothing. All right? Well, now we look at verse 3. Look at here, and I got my notes here. Verse 3. God said, let there be light. God said, let there be sky and water and face. God said, let there be